everybody. How are we doing? Sam here, United People's TV. It's Tuesday, the 5th of December, but the conversation we're about to have could have been Wednesday, the 4th of October, 2021, or 2020, or 2019, or 2018, 17, 16. Choose your year. Whatever year you want to talk about it, it was pretty much appropriate. We're talking about dressing room leaks at Manchester United. Dressing room what? Dressing room leaks at Manchester United after a damaging defeat. It's happened under multiple managers. It's happening again now. What I'm going to do in this video, right? The news broke last night, and I'm sure you've had all the mad reaction that you want to have on it. What I'm going to do is run through the full story on Sky Sports, what Kaveh Solihoyes said, David McDonald from the Mirror, what Samuel Luckhurst is reporting from the Manchester Evening News this morning. I'm going to run through all of that. I'm going to cover the Matic interview, and it's a really interesting piece I want you to understand about. I'll save that for later. It's not going to be a pretty conversation, but Manchester United are far from a pretty football club right now. Let's be totally honest. My lights are completely gone. The battery's completely run out on those. I don't know if there's battery or not. I've bought some new Christmas lights, some nice bright yellow ones, because it's really annoying me how that's not bright. Anyway, that's coming out. All right. Now, who's here for November, gang? Let's have a quick look. These might not be the conversations that we want to have, but this is just the reality of our football club. Okay? And I do, as much as I prefer to have a positive angle on Manchester United, I can't ignore the news that's in front of me. And I won't. All right, who's here? Let's have a look. Andrew, good morning to you. Josh and Ant, you're there. We've got Natasha, JC. We've got Nick Cavros, Neil, Daisy. You're excited, yeah, because the Cantona box is back. Although I haven't actually put another gift in that yet. Jonathan, if you're watching on Facebook, you haven't DM'd me with your address, and if you don't do it by the end of the week, I'm going to give that shirt away to somebody else. So you've got a couple more days. Slide into my DMs on Twitter or Instagram. All right. We've got Sheddy watching from Nigeria on Facebook. We've got Jay watching, Gilbert. We've got Alfred. We've got plenty of you. Good morning to all of you. And Siam, you just joined. There's a new member on YouTube. And Chris, you just gifted 5. I tell you what. If only the world could be as positive as this community, it'd be a great place. It would be a great place. Chris, you legend. Thank you very much. And you know what I'm going to say here? First of all, big up GTA 6 trailer dropping. Second of all, shame it's not coming out until 2025. Imagine that. Has that ever happened? Have you ever seen a trailer for anything that's not coming out this year, that's not coming out next year, it's coming out the year after? This is for something that's dropping in a minimum, in the soonest, it's in 14 months. But something that I find kind of not ironic, but on a day where the trailer for GTA 6 has finally dropped, it's a meme from San Andreas, which is actually more relevant to this conversation and right now. Because indeed, here we go again. It's not the first time we've had these conversations. I spoke yesterday about that, the sort of the cycle beginning again. Who had Monday night down as the night where the dressing room leaks were going to come out? Because they were inevitable, absolutely inevitable. I kind of wish I had like a gaming channel now, and I could just sit here and talk about GTA all day. GTA 3 was the one that I played the most. That was the first 3D one. I remember that coming out Liberty City. Then I caned Vice City, and obviously this is going back to Miami. I didn't play San Andreas as religiously. I've really completed GTA 4, but GTA 5 I never really did. Don't know why. I think it's because I've switched console and broke it twice. But GTA 6, I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, that's the positive news out of the way. We're going to have to talk about this. Simon's saying, let's just not talk about it. I mean, you can't ignore these stories. The first thing I want to say is we have to remember as a fan base about what it is the press does when United are losing and when United are bad. They love to stamp on us when we're down. So I'm not saying that, like, take all of this with a pinch of salt, but I'm just saying, keep that in your back of your mind when you're thinking about it. All right. And the reason I want to say that is this, because this is a very curious thing, right? Later in the show, one second, where's my mouse gone? It's up there. Later in the show, I'm going to run through this Matic interview, okay? Where he speaks about like the terrible culture at Manchester United, the lack of professionalism that existed, okay? And that this is just, I don't think it's a coincidence, is my point, right? That Matic interview last night was when all the reports came out. Daily Mail, The Mirror, and it's Matic questioning just the professionalism of Manchester United. However, this is the original interview. Now, zoom in down here. I'll do it for you. Look when this was published. So the interview itself with Nemanja Matic was published 13 days ago. But we only found out about it last night when it was released by the press. So either they've only just found out about it, and it so happened to be within about an hour, hour and a half of the dressing room leaks happening, or the press have just been sitting on this Matic interview with these comments and quotes and waiting for the right time to drop it where it would damage United the most, where it would have the biggest impact. And I think I know which path I believe they went down. It may well be a coincidence, but a lot of times in life, coincidence. Don't know. It doesn't. I don't massively believe in coincidence. I know sometimes it does happen. That's what this concept of coincidence. But yeah, it's a curious one. And it's just one to think about when we're seeing all of this coming out after the game against Newcastle. So what I'm going to do now is I've highlighted all the key points from the Kavi Solihull's piece on Sky News, Sky Sports, David McDonald's from the Mirror, and Samuel Luckhurst from the Manchester Evening News. I'm going to run through all of the things, and then we're going to have a conversation about it as a community this morning, because my immediate reaction is that there's like zero surprise. There is zero surprise, and it angers me that we're here again, right? Now this is what Kavi Solihull's article says, right? Erik ten Hag has lost elements of the dressing room at Manchester United, with players questioning his playing style and treatment of Jadon Sancho. One source has claimed that Ten Hag has lost 50% of the dressing room, with his refusal to act on concerns voiced by United players and the continued exile of Sancho cited as factors. Now, can I just say one thing here to begin this, right? Where is it? That one there? Or is it that one there? When it comes to Ten Hag and here and the sort of, I suppose the players that he's fallen out with, or the players that he's had clashes with, right? I completely stood in Ten Hag's corner over the Ronaldo situation. And for the life of me, I know you can come at me saying, oh, Ten Hag shouldn't have called him out in public. But I'm sorry, but if you get 3 months off, 3 months off mid-season as a professional Premier League player on the level that Sancho is, and you don't get a response after that, then I think you're justified to try a different method. Oh, don't air your laundry in public. Nah. The only reason anybody would be getting annoyed about how Ten Hag has gone around this Jadon Sancho situation is if they are his mates, because I don't think Ten Hag's done much wrong. This is where I think I'm different. I think I'm different. My opinion's different. Is that with the Varane situation, that's where I can understand if people really kind of disagreed with Ten Hag and what he's done with Varane, because it has pretty much just been a tactical choice. It's not been down to. No one's ever questioned Varane's professional integrity. No one's ever clashed with Varane before. But Ten Hag decided that he didn't feel he was confident enough as left centre back, and that's why he's out of the team. I can imagine that could have, and probably has had a bit of a negative impact in the dressing room, because that's just a tactical approach. Whereas I think the Sancho one, mate, you're not going to get me sort of understanding how there are players. The only reason that there are players who support Sancho is because they're friends with Sancho. It's mates first. That's the reason they're annoyed. Not because of what's happened. It's because they knew Sancho before Ten Hag came in and they got a pre-existing relationship with him. We should make it clear, ironically they're saying this, that it's very easy to kick a club when they're down. It's easy to kick Ten Hag when he's down. It's really easy to say he's lost the dressing room and that the players are not playing for him. What a weird introduction to your own article or your own little bit of interview. Is what else he said. My information is that some of the players are confused with what's happening. He's lost elements of the dressing room. One source tells me he's lost 50% of the dressing room. Quite a few players are unhappy with the style of play. They also feel that they're training too hard, that they're running too much during training. I was told that the players don't know what they're running for. All right, okay, let's continue going down here. Also, some senior players have spoken to Ten Hag about where they feel the club is going wrong. They've spoken to him about their other experiences of playing for big clubs and feel that the manager should be a little more touchy-feely. That was a bit of a weird thing. Shouldn't have done that. They feel his man management could be a little bit better, but Erik Ten Hag is a boss and he's the one who calls the shots. He is not for turning. He's going to do things his way. I've also been told that a few of the players believe that he is too set in his ways and he's too robotic. I mean, a lot of that just sounds a bit just like guff, really. I think we could. What I mean, what's your sort of what's your reaction to it? I'm genuinely curious. I'm curious as to hear how everybody sort of feels about what we're reading here. Does it feel any different to what happened last time? A few of the players are unhappy at how Jadon Sancho has been treated. What is your take on this? Right, let's go back up there. Let's leave that there. Right, I'm going to say what you're saying. I'm going to see what you're saying. Who polled the players, says Ant. Canvas went there. Right, lads, up. 1, 2, 3. Who's in support of Eric? What? Right, so okay, not you. Okay, hands down. Okay, just all intents and purposes, everybody who is against him, hands up. You have to laugh about it, right? Peter, you're saying, are these not just rumors in a spike to sack Ten Hag faster? Jason, you're saying it's absurd. Someone down there saying that's how you pad a story. The players need a metaphoric slap. No, you remember that thing of the it's like the football coach just like walking around just slapping everyone upside the head. I remember that. Do you know the thing that really, really annoys me at this point? Every single time annoys me so much. Is because I think when these stories come out, there's justification for anger towards the manager, and that's why the energy sticks every single time. Because Ten Hag has been making some big old tactical errors this season. His desire to switch to with 1 number 6 and 2 number 8s was an intention to make Manchester United more proactive, more dangerous, winning the ball higher, to make us a better team in the Premier League. However, it didn't work. He got that wrong. I think he overestimated Casemiro's capability, and I also think he underestimated how being so over-aggressive could be exposed by a quality team. He's definitely made some mistakes, but I also remember how United were last season when everybody was pulling in the same direction. We're running too much. So after the Brentford game, after you put in such an atrocious performance that we lost 4-0, and Ten Hag made everybody run 13 kilometers and ran 13 kilometers himself to try and get these players to understand that you are a collective. When you're winning, it's so easy to be a collective. You're riding the wave. You're all smiles. You're having a great time. When you're losing, it's far harder to be a collective. And just as happened under multiple managers at Manchester United, when the chips are down, when your backs are against the wall, and you need to come together the most as a team, is when, unfortunately, some United players, they look after number one. They look after themselves. They are the most important person, thing, entity in the world. Sod the club, sod the team. I'm out here protecting me. I'm more important. Me. And that culture is, it's never left our club. Well, it's not never left. It's come in post Fergie, and it's never left. You can't get rid of it. And I wanted to sort of. There's a lot more conversation I want to have with you this morning around this, but I know that Martinez's absence on the pitch has been massively damaging for United this season. Okay. But arguably, Martinez's absence off the pitch is equally as damaging. Because when Ten Hag came in, Ten Hag has come in, right? And he's been trying to change his culture, because everyone keeps talking about it, because it's so needed. It's like, oh my God, like, it's disgusting. And it's the same repeated patterns and problems. Everybody was working for Ten Hag last year, and we were beating Barcelona, beating City, winning the League Cup. Oh, nice. Yeah, great. As soon as something goes wrong, let me just look after myself. Now, Freaky, you're leaving a comment down there saying, look, can't blame Ten Hag, honestly. And I will not sit here and even remotely suggest that Erik Ten Hag is on some sort of God pedestal and can't be criticised and hasn't made any problems. Like, you'd be foolish to think that's the case, all right? Because he definitely has. This season, he's been making way too many. And I really hope that he corrects some of them against Chelsea, because if he doesn't, I think at this point in time, he's really just hurting himself. But if you think that I'm going to stand in the corner of the players at Manchester United after seeing this under David Moyes, under Louis van Gaal, under Jose Mourinho, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ralph Rangnick, kind of doesn't really matter. No offense to him, but it was an interim. It was always doomed to fail. And then we go down and Erik Ten Hag. I mean, every single type of manager you could possibly ask for there. There are certain people or certain things in life, but if you want to find a fault in something, you will. You won't ever look at the 99% of what somebody or something is doing correctly. You will point out the 1% they're getting wrong because you don't like it. And I'm going to pull up this little clip here of Roy Keane. It's 3 clips from over 4 years, and the message is still the exact same.
These are the same players that threw Mourinho under the bus, and they will do exactly the same to Ollie. Lepers don't change their spots. Maybe Ollie was too friendly with him. Maybe that was a problem. Maybe he was too nice to these lads, because these lads have done what I predicted, and they've thrown him under the bus. And that's what they do. This group's not going to change, and as I said, if they're not going to work as hard as the opposition, then you're in trouble.
You are in trouble. And Ten Hag is in trouble, right? I know that. I'm well aware of that. No United manager can ever get away from that sort of performance. We can blame players, yes, and I think they are largely at fault. But Ten Hag is definitely in trouble right now. I'm going to go down here and see what you're saying, all right, in the comments. Yeah, Stephen, this is the thing that always irks me. Like, players complain that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was too soft and wasn't tactically good enough. And now Ten Hag is too robotic. And he criticizes me too much, mum. He said I'm not running enough, mum. That's what it sounds like. It's like schoolboy shit. It just makes you frustrated, man. Like, we're talking like top level athletes. Like on hundreds of bags a week. And you're running too much. Fuck. I don't know. It's a bit weird. You can't help but just, I don't know. I'm gonna run through David McDonald's article now. So it wasn't just Kavi Solahog who came out with this last night. There was also David McDonald. So I'm going to pull this one up now. Right, I think someone just sent a super chat. Let me see what you're saying down here. Jibak, how you saying? Can't think of a manager who's flawless at everything he does. Surely players at other clubs have riffs too. Why does our dirty laundry get hung out in the media? Well, you know the answer. You know the answer to the second part of that question, Jibak. It's because it's Manchester United. Secondly, second point there. Yeah, there is no perfect manager. Like this same manager with those same principles last season. That's what I mean. Like, winning is everything, right? I suppose this is the ultimate truth. Last season, when Erik Ten Hag was, that's the wrong one. Last season, when Erik Ten Hag, but oh shit, here we go again as well. Last season, when Erik Ten Hag, when we were winning, when we were beating City, when we were beating Barcelona, when we were winning the League Cup, everybody was with him, man. Yeah, let's keep running. Let's run ourselves into the ground. But when things aren't going well and the performances aren't there, well, I'd rather not run, actually. I don't know why I'm running. And then it goes, and then this is what I mean. You end up in this sort of this vicious circle where I know that Ten Hag has made some tactical errors. I think he's made some formation errors, tactical errors, signings haven't worked out. And unfortunately, he's part of that because he's had way too much control over them because we haven't got a structure behind the scenes. Oh, I know. You know what I think the solution is? Sacking Ten Hag, bringing in an interim manager until the end of the season. Wasn't it in December when Solskjaer got sacked as well? 2 years on, we're bang in the same situation, I think. It feels like that anyway. Ben, you're saying, I've got a feeling Ten Hag is gone if we lose tomorrow. No, man. You know the game that will do it? The game where so much is riding on it, and I'm terrified about this. That Liverpool. First time I've got one in the ballot, a Liverpool away ticket in like 6-7 years. I'm terrified. I am terrified. I got no idea what to expect for that. That's the game. That's all. It's always that game. I think it was after that game where my mindset switched on Mourinho. It was after we lost, I think, to City and Liverpool at home under Moyes. That was the game. Well, that was a period. I think it was in the same week as well, actually. That was the difference where my mindset changed. I think the same thing happened. Solskjaer got pumped as well, but obviously it was the Watford game where he lost it. But we are heading towards that game. Oh, Jesus, man. Wow, what a game for me to get my first Liverpool ticket. Oh. Might win, though. Might win. Don't know. And you're saying this is what happens when your workplace becomes a democracy instead of a dictatorship. People think they have power. No, I think that's the kind of the opposite of what's happening right now. Like, Ten Hag is trying to instill more of a dictatorship, and everyone's kicking off about it because previously it was a democracy. I think United had like a transfer committee under Solskjaer, but it was like loads of them all choosing who we should sign and who we shouldn't sign. And Solskjaer was that. You could always have a chat with him. He's such a nice dude, man. I would have loved the opportunity to interview Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But as a manager, the players would take advantage of that. And now they've got someone in who's telling them they can't do anything. They're like, what do you mean? I can't do it. Nah. Not going to school today. Not getting out of bed. Nope. Not doing it. Nope. That's what it feels like. Might sound a bit childish of me, but that's kind of what it feels like. This is what David McDonald in the Mirror is saying. And I think there's a really, again, you know what I'm speaking about when it comes to coincidences and what's being reported? Well, we can have a conversation about this towards the end. Ten Hag is facing a revolt as stars turn on him. Ten Hag is facing a dressing room revolt with several members said to be disillusioned. United sources have indicated several players are unhappy with the current plight. Ten Hag now facing a major battle to keep the majority of his squad on side. Despite being, this is the thing here, right? This is the one here. Despite being banished to train in the academy facility, Sancho is said to have maintained his fitness and is training like a beast, according to one source, with several of his teammates wanting to see him reintegrated back into Ten Hag's squad. So in the same night, and again, this may well be a coincidence. The same night that all these dressing room leaks come out, there's sources saying that Jadon Sancho is training like a beast. On the exact same night, where an article comes out saying that Jadon Sancho and Paul Pogba were so late that they racked up 75 grand of fines that the players themselves put on them because it was so unprofessional. You can. It's kind of not hard to connect the dots here and create a narrative. It's just, again, might be coincidence, might be timing here, but there's a certain word that I've highlighted there, double highlighted, in fact. Ten Hag has insisted this whole time the same thing has been the case. Jadon, man, if you apologise, come back into the squad. That olive branch is sort of, it feels like that olive branch got taken away a while ago. But you can see the word I've highlighted there. Ten Hag has insisted Sancho can rejoin the squad once he's apologised, something the England star has refused to do, believing he was entitled to defend himself after the manager's comments. Just like a manager is entitled to not let you back in the squad unless you apologise. And entitlement, isn't that a rather big buzzword of what's happened with these players under Erik ten Hag? And it's and as United fans, we're now forced to sit here and side with players or side with manager again, and we're forced into a divisive situation. Is it just by the press? I imagine I would be very surprised, and this is a personal opinion. This is not based on any sort of in the know fucking knowledge. It's not me, all right? I'll be very surprised if that dressing room now is completely united behind Ten Hag. I think there will be fractions. I think there will be problems. And this man right here, when you are trying to change the culture of a club, right? It's going to be difficult, and it will be something that genuinely does take time. This is why I understood why Ten Hag kind of went after some Ajax players early. First of all, we had no scouting system, so they didn't really know who to sign anyway. So it was just kind of who Ten Hag knew. And second of all, if he's going to try and change a culture, you're going to need champions of that culture who, when your back is turned and you're out of that dressing room, that they represent you in there. And Martinez is the king of that. And Martinez last season, easily my favorite player, because I saw what he was trying to do. I saw what he reflected on the pitch was what Ten Hag was trying to do. And Ten Hag has ultimate trust and belief in him. But if you think about the leaders that we had last season, right? Martinez, Casemiro, and Marcus Rashford, when things were going well, none of them exist anymore. Martinez has been missing the whole season. Casemiro's been missing for large parts of the season. And Rashford scored 1 league goal. Luke Shaw missing for large parts of this season. And all of a sudden, when you take those leaders and those voices away from the dressing room, what happens? The poison starts bubbling back in. Damn, man. And then look, I think I've missed a couple of things down here. I think I missed a couple of super chats and some gifted. Oh, look at that, man. JC. I'm Luke, I'm father. My dad's Bruce Lee. Big up to you, JC. Gifting 5 memberships. What is that little? Whee! Who are the lucky 5? By the way, we've really, Joe, big up to Joe if you're watching. We've really started to revamp the Discord now. Everybody would have got a message yesterday. If anybody has any problems, I'm going to leave the link here right now, actually. That's the wrong thing. You just saw me little windows there. You weren't supposed to see that. Let me get the link to the Discord and I'll say one thing before we move on to this next talking point. Right. There is the link to the Discord. If you have any problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got no, that's not what I'm saying. That's the link to the Discord. But at the same time now, we've got a new email. So uptv@thepeoplesperson.com. Right. If you have any problems getting on Discord, email that email, all right? And you'll get a response, you'll get help, and we'll get you onto the Discord. Okay? So that's why we've opened that email up, because I realize there's still some of you that are kind of struggling with it. So big up to Joe. And then what I'll quickly do down here before we move on, and I'll read more of your comments, is I'm going to read through now what Samuel Luckhurst has reported on this morning, all right? Ten Hag is losing the confidence of Manchester United players over tactics and signings. Oh, what is going on with this website? Terrible, mate. The Manchester Evening News has to be one of the worst websites. My word. Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag is losing the confidence of his players and some staff members as the club season continues to spiral. It is understood some staff members in a mounting list of players harbour doubts over his methods as he struggles to salvage United's season. A dressing room source said the situation is so bad, while some senior players have expressed concern at the direction of the club. Yeah. So have I. For nearly 20 years. Go figure. Some time-served players are startled by the caliber of Ten Hag's signings. One is believed to have been particularly perplexed, hard thing to say, by the addition of the inexperienced, or callow, Rasmus Højlund. And then Anthony's mentioned down there, Wout Weghorst, Mason Mount. Mate, we were skint, right? We were skint. Wout Weghorst in January. We've done the same thing with Agallo. We've done the same thing with like Falcao. He's one of those stupid stopgap signings because we're skint. Mason Mount. You know what I think about Mason Mount signing, right? You know what I think about Mason Mount signing. We should have, if we had a proper football director, we would have spent 60 million on a powerful, dueling central midfielder and then gone after another number 8 on deadline day rather than the other way around. And Anthony, you know what I think about Anthony. I think we paid pretty much double what we should have for Anthony. And is that on Erik ten Hag? Or is that down to an incompetent club not operating properly? Yeah. You know, and I understand that there are some of you that goes, wow, Sam, 40 million, even 40 million from Anthony is a waste of time. I genuinely do. I will probably agree with you now. I will say, if Man United had just if we had structures in place, man, I guarantee you last summer, like Pedro Neto, when did he join Wolves? Right, let's have a look. Pedro Neto joins Wolves. Don't actually know how much. I have no idea how much they paid for him or when he signed for them. 2019. Right, so he was already well into Wolves at that point. But you get my point. If Man United had done things properly, we would have spent 40. We could have easily spent 40 mil on a better signing than Anthony, I think. But to try and sort of slap Erik ten Hag down because of the signings we've made, yeah, he's had way too much power. But look, there's I've seen it in the comments there, and I appreciate you reminding me about this because I saw it yesterday. I'm going to pull this out. Andy Mitten is somebody who I've got a serious amount of respect for. Editing United, we stand for what, 30 odd years now. Running a fanzine is not easy. It's expensive. It's hard. But it's a voice of the culture of United. Now, the culture of football has changed. And a lot of it is now digital. But previously, it was about going to the games. It was going on the terraces. It was being in and around the club. And that's where the voice was. Obviously, it's kind of grown and changed. But Andy Mitten tweeted this last night. Now, the latest edition of United We Stand has got an interview with Erik ten Hag. And I'm fascinated to read it. And this is what Andy said. Because I know this season's been poor for United, but I had a long sit-down interview with Erik ten Hag recently, and I came out of the room wanting that man to continue doing the very difficult job he's got on his hands. He knows what's needed. Ten Hag's got his... Pardon me. Ten Hag has got his faults, man. Absolutely got his faults. And I think from a man management perspective, I can understand how he is abrasive. All the Dutch, because it was not weird, but it's kind of cool. When Ten Hag came to Ajax, quite a few sort of Ajax fans who were curious to follow and see how Ten Hag got on ended up following United People's TV because I was covering it. And I really, really appreciate it. That's pretty cool. And it kind of goes to show you just how much admiration they had for him. But the Dutch, any Dutch supporters down here, you can let me know as well if I'm right or wrong. That was part of the reason why Spurs never got him in the first place. They said he didn't have the charisma to be, or the personality. But it's just like, just because somebody doesn't smile, it's a bit like Martial. So that's a bit weird saying Martial doesn't smile. Like, mate, he can do what the fuck he wants. You can't tell somebody how their personality should. Oh, you should smile more. No, mate. I'll do what I want. I will carry myself how I want. And they see that as rude and abrasive, but it's just like it's kind of the Dutch way, in a sense. But what do you think happened here? Like, I saw what Ten Hag did last season, and I know I was at Wembley. I was there with the lads like 4 or 5 hours before. Man, the feeling of a cup final day is awesome. Even better when you win it at the end of it. Because if you don't really remember the cup final day. But just that feeling of togetherness on the pitch as well. Newcastle were not an easy team to play, and we played them off the park that game. Goals from Casemiro, goals from Rashford. And you're down there saying that the Doku-Anthony comparison might be better. Yeah, you're probably right. That's what I bet. I'm tired, Robbie. I'm tired. I'm going to see what you're saying down here, right? I think that did I just miss? Yeah, I did. And Jordan, you just gifted a membership, and sorry, Alex, you gifted 5. That's 6 memberships. Honestly, please, everyone. I feel like I'm kind of begging, but I'm only begging for your benefit. Come on, join the Discord. It's getting better on a day-by-day basis. I'll be in there tomorrow, by the way, doing the arms before the Chelsea game. Boy, oh boy, that game is important. Ten Hag, please make some changes. And you're saying that the Anthony Doku comparison would have been a little bit more apt. I think you're probably right there. What do you think? What do you think happens now? All right. I'm going to be running through the Matic interview next. And arguably, the Matic interview is even more prevalent, even more important now. Now, before I quickly do move on to that, actually, I didn't forget about this. No, I did forget about it. Let me pull this up. Where is it? That one there? That one there. Right. Let me pull this up so we can speak about that next. I'm going to go down there and read a few of your comments. United can never be back on track. Anthony saying, Sam, I'm Dutch. Ten Hag is known to be very meticulous and a no-nonsense guy. These divas can't handle him. Maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe they just don't understand. They can't understand the differences in the personalities, or they don't want to. So I mean, like, you can find fault in everything. I swear, like 90% of these United players, I used this analogy on Twitter yesterday, and I think it kind of made sense. They would get a steak sent to them that's cooked perfectly, and they probably send it back and say, "No, cook that different. It's not what I want." Even though I asked for it, it's not what I want. Even though we said that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was too soft as a manager, and we wanted a manager who's too hard, and we've now got a manager that's hard. No, he's a little bit too hard, so we can actually go back a little bit. No, but then that manager who comes in is probably going to be a little bit too soft. So can we go like semi-hard? Can we have like a flaccid manager? They'll never be happy. And that's what I mean. If you want to find faults in something, you will find faults in something. That's what Man United's players are seemingly doing with our managers. Jordan, what are you saying? Hey, dude, man. So am I. And I'll tell you what, I'm playing this again because this video is going to carry so much relevance.
These are the same players that threw Marino under the bus, and they will do exactly the same to Ollie. Lepers don't change their spots. Maybe Ollie was too friendly with him. Maybe that was a problem. Maybe he was too nice to these lads, because these lads have done what I predicted and they've thrown him under the bus. And that's what they do. This group's not going to change. And as I said, if they're not going to work as hard as the opposition, then you're in trouble.
I'm just going to keep reading your comments out on this one. I think it's interesting to hear your opinions on it. Top Death Angel is saying, Sam, it comes to the point where it's not the Glazers the main problem anymore. It's the players. It's well, they've all kind of been. Of course, the Glazers are at the top, and that's something that we have to hope does change with this, right? I know that Mark Kleiman said 2 weeks ago it's going to be done within a fortnight, and this is the thing about this sort of takeover, the minority takeover. So many kind of decent journalists have been stung so many times by this whole takeover because of the Glazers, because of how incredibly slow and ponderous they are and how long it takes them to reach a decision. It's a reason why our football club gets left in the mud. We could have probably signed about 100 players who are better than who we signed, but now this is wait another week. We're being told that the sale's going to be confirmed next week. Now, of course, that's going to be what? The 12th of December? 19 days away from the start of January? There's not going to be anything done in time and in place to have any sort of significant impact on how we can act in January. But what I hope happens is that there's more autonomy and power to just really get rid of players. That's what January has to be for United, all right? January, I do not think you should be looking at January as a time when United can, let's sign this player and this player, and it's going to make us play so much better. You know what I think will have maybe not equally as big an impact, but a significant impact, is getting rid of the players that just are not helping this football club. All right? And I'm talking about the likes of Anthony Martial, Jadon Sancho, are two players that I would immediately, without even really questioning it, just move them on. Say, all right, let's go. End of story. And there's so many more that I probably would do, but probably not really possible to do in January. But neither of those two are going to be positive influences on this team anymore. So don't have them around. Now, Chris, you're down there saying, oh, Rashford too. Let's not go crazy, right? But I tell you what, and I saw this earlier, and it is definitely, Rashford's future is definitely not secure at Manchester United anymore. He may have signed that new contract, but the season he's having, and it seems to be going only one direction. So he after he's got what he wanted, and I'm not saying it's a direct consequence of like, he's got the contract and good, he's just putting his feet up. But he just said whatever it is, whatever he had last season, he doesn't have this season. Something's changed. There is a difference. There is a tangible or a variable that's changed with Marcus Rashford. Whether it's that new contract, whether it's the fact that the team is playing badly, whether it's something going on with him personally that we don't know about. Something has changed with Marcus Rashford. And do not be surprised to see PSG coming back in for him, because Kylian Mbappe is going to leave PSG and they are going to want someone in. And they were sniffing around Rashford last summer. His brother, I think, went to speak to PSG. Do not be surprised to see that come up again. And would you send Rashford out on loan for the rest of the season? We can get a good player the other way. I mean, that's just not. It's kind of a mute conversation, because it's just not going to happen. It's kind of like a fantasy conversation, in my opinion, anyway. But there's as much as we just had a whole 45-minute conversation about this, and we can. Oh man, there's so much we can talk about here, and have done, and we'll continue to do, by the way, because this isn't really going to go away now. I'm going to do my lunchtime video today is going to be a more in-depth video on this Matic interview. All right. I'm also then going to do later on this evening. It's going to be a busy few days. All right. Because of all the stuff that's happening now. Later on this evening, I'm going to do my Chelsea 11 and the changes I think Ten Hag not should make, but needs to make. And that's going to go out later on. And then tomorrow, I might be doing a video. I might do it. I feel like I want to do it. Like a chronological video of everything that's happened under every single one of these managers. And how we're just seeing history repeat itself. You've gone from somebody who Fergie recommended to an old sort of very experienced, world-class, really, European coach in Louis van Gaal. I saw that. Let's just bring in the serial winner. He'll get us winning. Nah, we don't like him. There's a clash with him. I would bring in someone that we know will love us and sort of put his arm around his shoulder. No, he's not tactically good enough. He's a bit too soft. Okay, we'll get in Rangnick in the interim so we can then spend time to find Ten Hag. He's a bit too robotic. He makes us run too much, miss. He's a little bit too hard. So you're just everything. You're finding a fault in it because you want to find a fault in it. And it's these players, man. But yeah, this interview here, as I said earlier in the show, the fact that this interview was released 13 days ago and the articles dropped last night in the British press, I think is just... I do not think that is a coincidence. Because if it is, it's a mighty, mighty coincidence. And this is what Nemanja Matic said. At Chelsea, players acted professionally. They were punctual and were never late for training, but at United, it happened almost every day. Among the players who would always be late were Paul Pogba and Jadon Sancho and a couple of other players. I put a sheet of paper up on the wall where I documented the names of individuals arriving late. During one particular season, we collected around £75,000 in fines. We had planned to use the money to throw a party in London, but we didn't due to the COVID outbreak. Just imagine that. Like, just kind of step back and go, what is this? Matic got so pissed off with how unprofessional Manchester United players were that he put a piece of paper up on the wall and fined players himself, because that's how much of a negative impact it was having on that squad. By the way, 75 grand, Matt down there, 75 grand for a party. Man, what would I do for a 75 grand party? Give me that. Come on. I would throw an absolute killer of a party, 75 grand. I mean, everybody would, right? Anyway, Just the concept of it. And on the one hand, we're seeing an article from David McDonnell today saying Jadon Sancho is training like a beast. And on the other here, we have a player who played at Manchester United with Jadon Sancho and said he was always late to training. So that's a Dortmund's assistant manager who's come out and said that Jadon Sancho was late for training. They had to used to go and knock on his door in hotel rooms to bring him on time. That's Man City, who after he wasn't included in the preseason tour, he just refused to answer their calls for like 4 months and left the club. And now United, Ten Hag said that he just wasn't quite doing it in training. And now Matic has said that he was constantly late to training. And you still, some of you want to stand in the corner of Jadon Sancho against our manager. And there are players who are standing in the corner of Jadon Sancho against our manager. And simply put, it's just because they are protecting their friends. And I don't begrudge them for that. Right? Your mates are your mates. Your friends are your friends because they're standing in your corner. Like mums do, even if their son or daughter's a little asshole. What do you mean? No, he wouldn't do that. Nah, he definitely didn't. Even though he was guilty of sin, like caught red-handed, there's no way he'd do that. No, absolutely not. It feels like that's what some of these United players must be doing with Jadon Sancho. And yeah, and the fact that interview came out last night from Nemanja Matic was, man, the timing of that. Steve, I can see you down there, you icon. So many icons down here. There's a couple of GTA 6 before Ratcliffe's announcements. Well, what's going to happen first? The Ratcliffe takeover or GTA 6 getting released? Hedge your bets. Rashford went crap after. I'm guessing you mean after his pay rise. I know a lot of people feel that. Steve, you gifted 5 memberships down there. Let me see if I can see anybody that you gifted them to. We've got Nicolaj Madsen. You're saying thanks, Steve. Mate, geez. Thank you very much, Steve. Little tickle. We can only go little tickles right now. I don't know what to say anymore, right? I know, right? I know that Erik Ten Hag has been making some real dumbass mistakes this season. Really poor, like for a man who last season, I think, got so much right tactically. The way he changed games so often last season with subs. I remember the conversations we used to have. And I'm comparing that to this season. And I don't have as much belief in him anymore. In the ability to change the game from the bench. I know our squad isn't. I know we maybe don't have the same sort of impact from the bench, but Ten Hag's been making some, like at this moment when everything about Manchester United is backed up against the wall. The club is, Ten Hag is, and the players are. At that point in time, Ten Hag will do what every manager always does. They will go to not necessarily who they feel are the best players. They will go for the players that they feel they can trust to drag you through the rough patches, the stormy seas. And the fact that Maguire and McTominay emerged as two of those players after Man United, like Ten Hag took the captaincy off Maguire, tried to sell him for 30 mil, ostracize him from the team until injuries. Like, people are going to be like, oh, Ten Hag has managed Maguire badly. It's like, no, he's just decided he's not good enough for him. Yeah, man. This is why we need structure, man. This is why we need structure. Like Ten Hag at this point in time, he needs the support of the club. He needs the support of an actual support network above him, reinforcing what he is trying to do. Because it's almost like inside Manchester United, Ten Hag is right now. I've just thought about this, and this does make sense in my head. I don't know if it will to you. Right now, Ten Hag is the sort of He is the lead voice for this vision of where he wants Manchester United to be, of what he wants this Manchester United team to be. He is the champion of that vision. And he absolutely shouldn't be. He should not be the head honcho of that vision. He can be like the main colonel, the main lieutenant of it, and the main driver of it. But there should be a director of football who has an even clearer vision of that. And above that man, there should be a CEO that makes sure that every decision that goes through that football club matches up with that vision. That there isn't anything that undermines that vision or goes against that vision. And if there is, then we get rid of it. And we bring in something that matches it. And we all make sure that we're working together. That's what we don't have at this football club. And that's why we ultimately always reach a point where then it's like players versus manager. Who's right, who's wrong? Chicken or the egg? Ten Hag, as the manager, should be part of the vision of the football club and where that football club wants to be. And instead, Ten Hag was brought into this football club because we were like, you know what? Crap. We haven't got a vision. We haven't really got a long-term strategy. Can you come and tell us what we need to do? Okay, so you want to sign these players to do it? Okay, we'll got that for you. It's why we need vision at this club. It's why we need Jean-Claude Blanc. It's why we need a Paul Mitchell. Now, look, and I'm not gonna say, hand on heart, that I have total confidence that Erik ten Hag's going to be our manager in 12 months' time. Okay, I can't say that with hand on heart. There is clearly a possibility that Jim Ratcliffe and that ownership structure changes, and they decide that the path that Ten Hag has got us going down isn't the correct one, and that they're going to make the decision with an overall longer-term vision. Like, the only support that Ten Hag really has had for his vision has been below him, has been the players that he's brought in. He hasn't really had anybody above him who understands that vision, who shares that vision. John Murtough might have listened to him, but he doesn't really know what he's doing. It's how businesses work, people. Like, if you worked in any sort of environment where there is a hierarchy, you might have your office manager, but above your office manager, you're going to have like a regional director, and above them, you're going to have a director. I don't know, national director. Above them, you're going to have like a CEO. You're going to have a CFO. You're going to have everybody. They all share the same vision, all of them together. Instead, it's been Ten Hag trying to instill a vision in a football club whilst he's in the middle, trying to tell some people above him what he wants to do and trying to tell the players below him what he wants to do. And now that he's lost those players now in Martinez and that lot, Martinez, Casemiro, Shaw, Rashford, who some of them sort of bought into it. Luke Shaw definitely bought into it. And some didn't. And when those players have left, the poison's back. The poison is back. And the cycle keeps going. The hope, and this isn't just hope, this is genuine hope, is that now changes. And that we actually have a football structure in place. Like, imagine that. When you really think about that properly, Ten Hag has come into Manchester United, and from the top down, he's getting squeezed by a board, and they don't really have the same vision, as anywhere near the same vision as he does, because we know they just want to make money. They don't care about success. And then from the bottom up, he's got a set of players which, man, what in the world is the culture at this football club? And he's trying to fix it with pressure from both directions, with no real support. I can't wait to read this interview. I remember what I saw last season, and I saw what happened when Ten Hag really was able to get some of this club putting in the right direction. But he needs more support to be able to sustain this path that we're on. And he also needs to support himself. changes have to happen, Eric, in these next couple of games, or you're only sort of signing your own death wish. I swear on my life, if I see McTominay start in central midfield and I see one central midfielder against Chelsea, I might cry. I might cry. Alex saying, Sam, would be good if you can get Andy back on for an interview. I will try. Andy's understandably quite protective of his own voice and what he's said and what he's sort of taken out of context. In the world of media online, it happens a lot. I had to kind of convince him to come on. Not convince him to come on, but I said, like, I do things differently here, man. I'm not going to try and misconstrue anything you said. And he came on. I thought it was a wicked interview. I'll reach out to him and see what he says. I think it would be awesome because I'd love to speak through that. Steve, there's a couple of super chats here, and then I'll ask him more questions. That's 2 days in a row, by the way. We've done shows longer than an hour. Talking points, eh? Talking points. Steve, you're saying Sir Jim would sign Eddie Howe at any cost after a pre-match interview. I knew we were going to lose. I don't understand that one, mate. Sir Jim signing Eddie Howe at any cost after a pre-match interview. Eddie Howe's. I know people want to say that Saudis are coming and it's just all the money, but Eddie Howe's done a ridiculous job at Newcastle. And Newcastle will not be able to do what City did and just buy everything and buy everyone and just go, I saw the rules. There's too much scrutiny on it now. City are the ones who got away with it, and Chelsea too. JC, thank you very much, dude. You're saying, like Maguire or not, when he was sold, he said he would stay and fight for his place. An adult response, not sulk or leak to the press. Yeah, all credit to Maguire. JC, I still have my opinion that Maguire is not the correct man in the long term, but Maguire has shown up quite a few of those players in what's required as a professional at an elite club. When the chips are down, you really have to dig your heels in and come together as a collective, because if you don't, it's just going to come crumbling down. It's just going to come crumbling down. Sort out our midfield and the rest will follow, says Akin. Well, you know what I think. Gareth, can this next show have less contradictions than this one? Okay, Gareth. Thank you, mate. Do you want to jump on here for the next hour and 2 minutes? And you can have a conversation then. Right? I appreciate it. Thanks for the positive feedback there, mate. Contradictions left, right, and centre. Fuck knows what's going on. I don't know what's going on at this football club. I know that I back Ten Hag. And this is the thing that... you know what? Sod that. Gareth, you can get in the bin. I'm off. Toodle pip.